Gene Stealers, Rippers, Tyranids of all ages, it is a bountiful day for us because today Games Workshop previewed the Warhammer 40k Leviathan box, the brand new starter set for 40k coming out this June for 10th edition. And as expected, it is chocked full of Tyranids. I was blown away by what I saw. So in this video, we're going to get into what we saw in there. I did a video this morning at 3:45 a.m., bright and early this morning, my time. This is what I looked like then. I was thrilled. But fortunately, it was worth getting up at the butt crack of dawn because there is some amazing stuff in here. Let's get into it. First off, I was amazed at just how many Tyranids are in this box. Like, look at this picture. There are a decent amount of Space Marines in there. There are way more Tyranids, and sure, Swarm Army, whatever. And like, we'd already seen some of these. We'd seen the Prime, we'd seen the Von Ryan's Leapers, and the Termagants, of course. But there is so much in here that we hadn't seen yet. And one of the really remarkable things is so many new things in here that when you look at it, the only existing models we got in this set are the Termagants, the Prime, sort of. We had a Prime before, but it wasn't a winged Prime to be sure. And kind of half the Screamer Killer, because the Screamer Killer was something that had rules before. Eons ago, it had a model. But brand new model in this box. Add to that, brand new Von Ryan's Leapers, a creature we'd never had for Tyranids before. Add to that, Barbed Gaunts. Not really sure what their point is, but brand new creature we never had before. The Neurotyrant, which we'd seen, of course, in the previews and stuff like that, but brand new creature we never had before. And the Psychophage, really weird brand new creature. Oh, and who can forget the Neurogaunts? Neurogaunts, like, so unique and different, so new. Another Gaunt smaller than a Termagant and a Hormagaunt, something that a lot of people were clamoring for. This is just amazing stuff. And then contrast that to the Space Marine side. Granted, I don't love Space Marines, but I feel like, I don't know, if I was a Space Marine player, I gotta really love those Terminators, because otherwise you're just getting some dudes with tabards and bolters, veterans, a whole squad of guys with flamers. Remember when flamers used to come in the squad with a Melta and a plasma gun? You got a Captain Terminator armor who looks pretty cool. That Terminator Librarian, he looks fine. The Dreadnought, which looks weirdly tall. I don't know if that's like actually different legs or a different design, or if it just looks weirdly tall. That Gravis armor, Apothecary, whatever. And then the Phobos guy. Actually, the Phobos Lieutenant is the one thing that I think is damn cool on the Space Marine side. But I'm glad there wasn't more cool Space Marines, because once I saw that Phobos Lieutenant, I was like, damn, are they doing first Tyrannic War veterans? Are they going to all have cool Tyranid armor on them? No. So I'm going to have no problem dispensing with my Space Marine side of this box when I buy this box. So that's good news. So yeah, so like comparing the Space Marines to the Tyranids, I feel like the Tyranids are eating well in this box, and Space Marines, not so much. Man, this might be a first. We got all these amazing new Xenos models, and the Space Marines are just kind of like, but maybe that's me because I don't love Space Marines. So let's go through each of those amazing Xenos models one by one. First up, we've got the Psychophage. And like, I don't know what I was expecting for the Psychophage. We had that art that they had showed, the concept art for it, which looked okay. And when I saw this in the trailer, I actually thought this was a different creature from what was depicted in that art. This is way bigger than I was expecting. Like, this is a massive, massive creature. And it's pretty damn cool. Like, I gotta say that though I'm not like fully in love with the whole model, the back end, I'm still trying to figure out like whether I like how that attaches to the front end. I love the front end. I love the head. I love the mouth with the tentacles and the teeth inside. I honestly think that this is the mouth that a Haruspex should have gotten when the Haruspex was released. And if I want to build a Haruspex, I think I'm just going to take this head and put it on a Haruspex, because the Haruspex head's pretty cool. But I don't know, take the Haruspex head, put it on a Mawloc, take this head, put it on the Haruspex. I just think it looks so good. And one of the first things with this that we're going to see a lot with these Tyranids is it's not just a gaunt head. This is something that like Hydra, Hive Fleet Moloch, and I have kind of like bemoaned, that a lot of Tyranids, it seems like they just took a gaunt head, put a gaunt head on and made it big. This is something different. Like, if you look at the side profile of this beast, I really love something with the armor plates and the teeth and the eyes. Like, it's pretty much perfect. The only thing I can fault it is that it's got a weird connection between the lower body and the upper body. I don't love that it's doing like the whole knife walking thing, but granted, that's like an easy solve for Tyranids that need to walk around on their talons or whatever. And the legs are a little weird, but like even like those backwards facing scything talon legs, those are some great chonky arms. Like, I don't know if they're perfect for this model, but they would be perfect on another model, certainly. Like, this one is a clear winner for me. Psychophage, A+. One thing I forgot to mention when talking about this big, beautiful boy was that as soon as we saw this, Marco Highfleet Moloch correctly identified this as being very similar to a design that was created by Bits of Box over on Instagram. So this is what he called a hive mite. He created this in the late 2000s, like 2008, 2009, and just like sculpting and weird Tyranid bits. That's all either scratch sculpted or converted Tyranid bits. And then Highfleet Moloch painted it up in his Ouroboros colors. So you can see kind of a similar design aesthetic to the Psychophage. I personally like Box's more. I think it's really cool how he set up the body structure. Don't get me wrong, Psychophage is still cool, but I think the Box did a really good job with this. So even down to like, look at the back where it has the little vents coming out of it. I'm not a guy to be like, Games Workshop's ripping off the community's ideas. I don't think that happens. I think that there are certain ideas that are in the Tyranid line and they get expressed differently. But there are a lot of things here that are weirdly similar, like down to those weird ports on the back end of the thing. Like Box had those here. Anyway, not saying anyone's ripping anyone off, but I just wanted to make sure that I shared this because it's really cool. And you can check this out over on Highfleet Moloch's Instagram, but I will put a link to it in the comments below, so check down there. Next, we have the Barb Gaunts. I keep calling them Barbed Gaunts, like Barb Strangler, and I really want the gun to be some kind of like Barb Strangler equivalent or something. These complete surprise. Like they're Termagants, they're Gaunts, but they're a little bigger than Gaunts. In fact, when you look at them in like a big picture where you can see them alongside other models, they actually look like they're taller than Gaunts, which is a little odd. Like they look like warriors. And in that is where I really question, like, what is the purpose of these? Like it says that they, in the write-up for them, it says that whereas Hive Guard and Biovores sit in the backfield shooting stuff, these guys get right up in the action. But like, did we need Gaunt artillery? Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. Like, this is a cool design. These are cool models, unique. I didn't expect them to come. I just don't really understand what battlefield role they fill that isn't filled by warriors or some other shooty bug like a Hive Guard or a Biovore. But I really shouldn't be complaining because we keep we keep saying that we want Games Workshop to do something new, something different, and these are definitely new and different. I only realized right now they have no eyes. That's really cool. That makes them look kind of like they're in a similar genus to the Hive Guards. I didn't realize till right now they have no eyes. That's really cool. That makes it seem like they're in a similar genus to the Hive Guard, who has no eyes. And I don't know, I just think they're cool. I like most of the things about them. For some reason, I want more of like a barrel on the gun. Like the gun itself looks really cool. It's like this weird symbiotic organism. I love that when you look at the other side, you can see that it's actually wired into the back of their head. And it's got that kind of like psychic parasite thing on the back, which we're going to see more of in a second, wired right into them. And these are just really cool. Weird. I don't know what they're for, but they're really cool. And of course, I'm going to think they're cool because if you know my stuff, you know that I love the idea of a shoulder-mounted Tyranid gun asymmetrically on one side, like I did with this Warrior Gun Beast, with the Venom Cannon mounted on his shoulder, kind of fused into the side of his face. I did the whole thing where he's resting on one hand. I gave him like a little atrophied scything talon on the other side to show that his primary function is really to fire this gun and not to do much else. And we see that with the Barb Gaunts. They got the shoulder-mounted cannon. It's not really as fused with them. They do have that hand fused into it. They got the little atrophied talon where they should be having another hand. And they got the one hand planting them on the ground. I don't know that I love it being a hoof. It's weird for them to have 3 hooves. In fact, Eddie commented on this in the video. I would have liked it more if it was like a hand, kind of like the Hive Guard. They do it very well, but whatever. So yeah, I experimented with that for my warrior, but I also experimented with that with Gaunts. So this warrior was created in March of, though this is like the finished one posted in August of 2021, I created this concept in March of 2020, so like 3 years ago. And then I came up with this guy in September of 2021 because I really like that concept of having like a shoulder-mounted bazooka sort of thing for Tyranids. So look at that. I was making a Barb Gaunt a whole like 2 years-ish before they came out. Look at me. Yeah, if you like this guy's part of my Tyranid kill team. They're called the Viridian Stalkers of Tyranid Prime, and I've got more pictures of them on my Instagram. Next up, we hit some of the creatures that we've already seen. So first up, the Termagants, which were the first models that we were previewed way back in March, late February. Cool thing here is that we get to see the Rippers for the first time. They look okay. I wish they were a little different. It seems like one group of Rippers is going to come for maybe 10-man box of Termagants, because in this box there are 20 Termagants total and 2 Ripper swarms. And Eddie kind of mentioned it's like, oh yeah, just like you could get Ripper Swarms with Termagants back in the day, you can get them with Termagants these days. I hope that doesn't mean that we're not going to get a separate Ripper box, because that would be really cool to have a separate Ripper box. But anyway, here you go. In this box, they're bundled together. The Rippers are inoffensive. It seems like we've only got 4 sculpts for them in the box, maybe, and they're just posed differently on this. I like that some of them seem to be like lower, more slithering on the ground. I don't love the heads. I feel like they've gone in a more gaunt direction and away from the way Rippers had a slightly more unique face, but whatever. Termagants, cool. I have mountains of Termagants. I think I probably have like 60 unassembled Termagants just that I've accrued over the years. These are nice. I like them. I do want to convert them into Standigons, which is kind of my thing. See how easy that'll be. But it is the case that I'm going to get one of these boxes at least, and I'm setting up to trade one of these boxes, the Marine half, with a friend who collects Marines, give me his Tyranid half. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have 40 of these Termagants. So I might have to set up some kind of giveaway, because that's probably more Termagants than I want to paint or that I necessarily need. But they're beautiful. They're great models. The only thing that kind of cheeses me off about these is that with the beginning of this whole preview that Games Workshop did, they said right at the beginning, you don't need any glue for these models. You just got to paint them, which leads me to believe that, as many people have speculated, and I was hoping was not the case, that these are probably going to be push fit models. And people have hypothesized that what they're going to do is like what they did in Indomitus, where they put push fit models in that box, and then they separately released some kits that are not push fit. I say some kits because if you ask the Necron players, there are still kits that I think they can't get separately that were in the Indomitus box as push fit that were never released separately. So I hope that doesn't really happen at Tyranids, because when they showed the sprues for this box, it was clear that the big critters and the little critters were all mishmashed together. So I'm hoping that we don't have any cool models in this box that become box locked, that they're only in the Leviathan box, but you can't get them out of the Leviathan box. I also kind of think it's wasteful. Like, why do 2 different versions of the kit? Why not just do one version of the kit with all the options in the starter versus having a separate kit come out later? I feel like that was what they did with the Necron Warrior, I feel like that's what they did with the Necron Warriors, because I got the Necron half of the Indomitus box, and I'm pretty sure the Warriors were on a separate frame with the Scarabs, and they had their options. They had both guns. Well, I know they did, because I converted them with both guns. So why not do that with Termagants? Part of me is still holding out hope that the Termagants are actually on a separate sprue, and that it has their Devourers, it has their Spine Fists in there, and we don't have to wait for a separate Termagant box, because that's another problem. If I get 40 Termagants in this box, and then I want to buy the other ones because they got cool new Devourers, cool new Spine Fists, that's way more Termagants than one guy could ever need. So yeah, hopefully these are multi-part, but I don't think they're going to be. Next up, a kit that we've already talked about because they previewed it previously, the Von Ryan's Leapers. And all I want to say about these sexy boys is that it's a good thing that they did these early and we got to see them before, because if I was seeing these for the first time in this box, I would have lost my mind, because these models are great. They're really great. They're unique. They're different. They're new. For all the reasons I said in my other video about the Von Ryan's Leapers, you can check that out, where I give a little bit of history of the name and stuff like that. But again, this is just further proof that the Tyranids are really eating in this box, and the Marines are kind of starving. We got so many cool new things. Like, I can't believe we got all this other stuff and the Von Ryan's Leapers all in this box. It's going to cost $1 million. Wait for it, because this is way too much good stuff to have in one box. But I would go on all day about these had I not already gone on all day. So great news that they're in this. Next up, another Sir previously appearing in a different video. We got the Tyranid Prime, Winged Tyranid Prime. Cool model. Talked about it in my other video. You can go check that out. I was hoping that this would be a multi-part kit in the box, but because of the whole like push fit, no glue thing, I'm assuming this is going to be, as people predicted, a one-off model with the wings. You can get in this box, and then later on they're going to release a separate Tyranid Prime box that hopefully has the wings and the walking options. Again, it would be terrible if this became box locked. You can only get the winged one in this box, and then the other walking one comes out separately. I don't think they're going to do that. I hope they're not going to do that. I hope that, like the Termagants, this one has options in the box, but I'm not expecting it. It's probably all going to be push fit stuff, which I got no problem with push fit. I don't mind. Everyone who complains push fit monopose, all models these days are basically monopose. Tyranids are the only models that still have ball joints. Everybody else goes together a certain way. You have to cut them up to change them. So we can cut up these to change them up. Tyranid Prime, like I said before, great model. Again, if I'd seen it here for the first time, I'd be like, damn, great addition to the box. Next up on the list of weird things that I was not expecting to see in this box are the Psycho Gaunts. We had a rumor, of course, of Hyper Gaunts, which were said to be a Gaunt that was smaller than a Termagant or a Hormagaunt and there was a couple of them on a base rather than like just one on a base. And I honestly wonder if that was like maybe early days Games Workshop experimenting with stuff, and someone saw the Psycho Gaunt. I called them Psycho Gaunts, didn't I? I'm sorry, they're Neurogaunts. Because there's a Psychophage and then there's a Neurotyrant and Neurogaunts, I keep taking Psycho and Neuro and mixing them together. You'd think they would just go with Neuro for all of them, like a Neurophage, but I guess that implies it's Synapse. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, so there was that rumor that we were going to get Hyper Gaunts, and they were going to be more of like a swarm thing, multiple ones to a base. And I'm honestly wondering if in the early days, Games Workshop was still trying to figure out how they were going to do these things, and maybe they experimented with putting a few of the Hyper Gaunts on a base rather than having them on separate bases, then decided to have them separate. I don't know. I might be trying to just go back and, with hindsight bias, take the rumor and fit it into like the whole of what the models are we actually see. But you go back and you look at those rumors, they were pretty close. They said that we were going to get Hyper Gaunts. They said that we were going to get new Lictors, which is what the Von Ryan's Leapers could be mistaken for. They said we were going to get a HQ Zoanthrope unit, Neurotyrant. They said that we were going to get what do they call it? A Macrofex, Cerebror, whatever. I think that was the Screamer Killer that they saw. They said we're going to get revised Biovores/Pyrovores, which I think is the Barb Gaunts. So I honestly think that whoever gave that rumor, I think that was like a year and a half ago, July, something like June or July of 2022. I think they actually had the right contents of this box. They just didn't know what to call anything. And that's something that we see with a lot of these models, that we had these things described before, but the names were wrong. And then it looks like this, like, oh yeah, okay, we heard that it was going to be something like this, but that wasn't the name that people were giving. Anyway, on to the Neurogaunts, not Psychogaunts. I'll probably call them Psychogaunts. Cool. They're cool little creatures. There are some weird departures here that I'm still getting used to. As Hydra mentioned in our team stream, the armor plates on their shoulders are concave instead of being convex, which is weird. The armored jaw, though I like the beak part, I don't like the weird square armor plate where their jaw should be. That's really odd, and I'll probably have to sculpt that to fix that. I also don't like that instead of removing the armor plates from their thigh, they just put an armor plate on the knee. Weird. But otherwise, these are damn cool. Although, how many arms do they have? I only see 4. Oh, they have a 6th limb in the middle, and they're really tiny. I love that they made a smaller gaunt step under the Termagant Hormagaunt size for like a swarmy thing. We saw these in the trailer, of course. These are the things that I was worried was going to be a Hormagaunt when I reviewed it. They're not Hormagaunts, which is cool, which means we still have awesome Hormagaunts to look forward to, hopefully. Interesting that they say that they're made for defending the Synapse creature. Hydra made a very good comment. He's like, aren't all Tyranids supposed to defend the Synapse creature? But these have some unique other use, because it sounds like they have basically like no instinctive behavior when they're out of Synapse range. They just kind of like power down or something. But they've got these psychic parasites on their back, which look very much like the parasites on the back of the Barb Gaunts that are plugged into the gun in their head. And apparently those control it. And the leader bug, I think it's called a node beast or something like that. One of the comments in our chat on our stream made a very good point. They're like, that node beast would be a perfect scale Tyranid dominatrix for epic 40k scale. Just take it and put it right in there. And I do love it. It has a really cool head. Looks kind of zoanthropy, something like that. So it's neat. And it's going to be interesting to see how that influences them. Maybe if it gets killed, then they revert to whatever their instinctive behavior is. But a cool new idea that I'm still getting used to. I'm not 1,000% sold on the design, the weird departures from other Tyranids I'm not sure why, but I'm really glad they're here. I'm really glad they tried something different, and it's really cool to have a smaller gaunt. Some people were saying that they're very reminiscent of the old Termagants, like the really small ones from 2nd edition that were plastic. So kudos to Games Workshop for creating another new Tyranid bug. Pretty interesting. All right, next, we're getting into our final courses, the real meat and potatoes of this preview, with the Neurotyrant. This thing is cooler than I thought it was going to be. It looked pretty cool in the trailer. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to pull it off with the model. They pulled it off with the model. I think this is, as Marco and I commented, this is like #1 instant 10 out of 10 for this preview. Our favorite models. It's got little hands, which is kind of cool, and they're like mutating. The double mouth thing weirded me out at first, but I think I'm getting used to it. The psychic crown on it, the carapace, is just amazing. If you know my work on things like the Tyranid Dominatrix, Dominanid 3 that I made, you know that I love me a psychic crown. The parasite, the symbiotic psychic creature that I put in the back. I made sure to give it like this row of like spines that focus its warp blast, and then there's like a thing that stands up behind it to kind of like focus the warp blast energy behind it. And the idea was that it channeled it down the front of the gun barrel and out to like nail someone with a psychic lance or whatever. I love that idea of like the Tyranids having like carapaces that seem to help with the weird psychicness they got going on. And I'm really getting that vibe from the Neurotyrant, that it's got all these like growths around its brain to kind of maybe channel the energy and stuff. I like that the carapace has like gaps in it and you can see the brain through it. I love the whole like mantle that it's wearing, like carapace mantle. I think Simon or Marco said it had, I think Simon said it had a cape. It's like a carapace cape. So cool. And when I looked at it, I was like, Games Workshop, you're breaking your 6-limb Tyranid rule on that guy. Because look, he's got 2 hands and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 tentacles and a tail. But then he's got 2 other tentacles down below. Guys, come on. You wrote the book on this. Make sure you're paying. Look at his back. Those 2 tentacles that come down are actually separate symbiotic organisms that are like plugged into his back with brains of their own. So cool. Like, I could talk about this thing all day. I love it. It's amazing. Look at the paint job. They painted like psychic like light on the carapace. That is an amazing detail. And even like the ends of those tentacles, Marco described them as being like a squid's tentacles with like the kind of clubs on the end for attacking prey. They're wicked. They got like weird little hooky things on them and weird little like biomorph growths. And even his cute little psychic spore mines. Eddie did say what these things are for in the preview, but I was so excited talking about models that I actually missed what these things are for. But they're cute as buttons as well. And they also have cool little tentacles. You can see the lineage of the Parasitomortrex in the tail. It's very reminiscent of Parasite. Also, the kind of like lamprey mouth that comes out of its main mouth. I'm not sure that I like its Fu Manchu mustache tentacles, but whatever. This model is amazing. It is so good. I love it. And moving on from that tasty treat to what Games Workshop probably meant to be the pièce de résistance of this preview. The last thing they showed us in the video, the biggest, beefiest Tyranid of them all, the Screamer Killer. To give you a little bit of context, I started Warhammer 40k in 2nd edition. And I'm pretty sure that the Tyranid model, that when I opened my buddy Austin's model case and I started pulling out these multicolored, multi-limbed monsters, I'm pretty sure that the one that I pulled out and went, yes, this is for me, was the original 2nd edition Pewter Screamer Killer. I have loved Screamer Killers since time immemorial. It's in 1997, 2nd edition. That was how I got into the hobby. And I have been a little bit obsessed with Screamer Killers over the years. I created this one in 2009 for the Tyrant table that we did for Games Day Toronto 2009. So I sculpted the killer. I did a lot of green stuff work on it. Oh, do I have a green in here? So I sculpted the Screamer Killer. There's a lot of green stuff work in here. Shout out to Bits of Box, who we mentioned earlier, for sculpting those scything talons on it. He sculpted one of those and cast them, and they were really like the perfect icing on the cake. So there you can see my Screamer Killer alongside the old pewter one. So it's a pretty big one. I have this guy. I'm stripping him. I'm going to repaint him soon. But yeah, I love Screamer Killers. I love them. As soon as the Plastic Carnifex came out, I wanted to make it into a Screamer Killer. I've since made a cute little My Little Screamer Killer for Kill Team because I thought that having 6 warriors was kind of boring, so I converted a warrior to look like a Screamer Killer. Kind of a simple conversion. Gene Stealer head. Screamer Killer head's been hiding on a Gene Stealer this whole time. So yeah, I love me some Screamer Killers. And I've even got like another Screamer Killer that I'm working on right now. In fact, I've got 2 Screamer Killers I'm working on right now. This one is one that Box started making, and then I'm kind of like finishing it, taking it across the finish line. And another one I'm doing for a commission. So to say that I'm obsessed with the Screamer Killer would be a bit of an understatement. So when this big, beautiful boy erupted onto the screen, what did I say? I said, come on, give me the big boy. I want to see my big boy. Give me that big boy. Oh, what? No. What? That. Whoa, it's huge. Okay, the Screamer is massive. Okay. That face on the Screamer Killer is rough. It is rough. Okay, the Screamer is huge, which I love. But that face is rough. Oh no. Oh wow. When they showed it initially, when they were showing how the models all go together, they showed like all the Tyranids in gray plastic, and you could see it looming behind them. And it was just like a split-second look, and I was like, yes, that is amazing. And then they showed it to us in the preview, and it came around in the video, and I was like, what is up with its face? Because the thing with the Screamer Killer, people have joked that it always looks like someone had like plowed the Screamer Killer's face into a wall or something. It's got this flat face. Here, I feel like this model suffers from that it's the face, something about the face is too flat, the eyes are too small, there's something about the like brow line, and then like its big chonky jowls. But at the end of the day, that's just me nitpicking. You can't love the Screamer Killer for as long as I have, and been so excited about the idea that Games Workshop was probably going to give us a plastic Screamer Killer. Once you set up that much hype and that much expectation, there's no way that a model is going to fully live up to what you're hoping for and what you're expecting. So yes, there are things that I will change about this model, but I think that at the end of the day, it's a pretty solid base. So people have been using the plastic Carnifex to make amazing creatures for so many years, and I think that this is going to be a solid base for people to take that to the next level, to make their cool Carnifex conversions even larger. And if you look at this thing, it is huge. If you compare it to that Space Marine standing in front of it, there's like that big chonky Terminator armor librarian. This thing's going to smash it. Like it's so much bigger than what a current Carnifex is. I think this is at least twice the height of a current Carnifex. So it is a welcome change to have a big base model that is that beefy and chonky. We've been saying for years that don't just give me gaunt heads. This is a different head. It's a totally different head layout. Someone in our chat on the stream correctly identified that this is a Predator head. They basically took a Predator head and made it into the Carnifex head, which is cool. It's got some funky like tubes running down the side of the head to feed, I guess, the bioplasma into the mouth. It's got some nice big beefy legs. Things I'm going to change. I'm going to change the face. I'm going to take the legs and spread them out a little bit. They look like they're too like crammed in there. There's no real pelvis in the middle. The arms don't do it for me. I think those arms are going to be excellent on a different Tyranid doing something else. They're fantastic bits for conversion. I don't know that I'm going to use them on this model. Even from like the trailer, the way the arms work didn't really work for me. They look like they're fine bits, just not for this model for me. I think I'm going to use some of those nice bits of box talons. I actually just realized now, looking at this, it's got like, not dew claws, but like talons on its feet. That's new. That's interesting. We've not seen that on other Tyranids. Oh, we can just see it in that one picture. I'm going to have to go look at that in the video again. So that's kind of cool. It's got like little kind of raptor talons on its hooves, but I don't know if that really works with a hoof. Anyway, cool model. I'm glad they made it. I'm glad they did something new. Is it the Screamer Killer I was waiting for? No. Is there ever going to be a Screamer Killer that's going to make me happy? Probably not. I'm always going to want to like tweak it a little bit. I'm definitely going to switch it around to make it more like the second edition one with those kind of gaps in the back with the vent kind of structures on them. But I'm glad we have it. I'm definitely glad we have it. And that's kind of looking at this whole Tyranid. It's not really the range refresh because this is just the beginning of it. But looking at this whole Tyranid release, I cannot believe that we are getting this many Tyranids in the Leviathan box. I cannot believe that there are this many new Tyranids in the Leviathan box. Like Marco or Simon mentioned, they could have easily just been like, oh yeah, Biovore, we updated your Biovore, here you go. Oh, Lictor, we updated your Lictor, here you go. Or like something else, oh, Pyrovore, we updated your Pyrovore, here you go. But what they've done is they've given us a new creature that isn't a Lictor, a new creature that isn't a Biovore, a new creature that isn't a Carnifex. And conceivably, we're probably going to get those other things down the line. Like we're probably still going to get new Biovore, Pyrovore kits. We're probably still going to get a new Lictor kit. We're just getting more and more and more. And these are not like the Hormagaunts. We haven't even seen the Hormagaunts yet. So if they can do this well with these Tyranids, and they've done very well with these Tyranids, what can we expect to see from new Hormagaunts? That's going to be amazing. So long story short, Tyranids won this battle. They got way better stuff out of this box than the Marines did, in my humble opinion. I am so excited for it. I'm going to be buying at least one and probably trading the Marine in half to get a second one. And I can't wait to build these and to start converting with them because they're just so great. But tell me how you feel about what you've seen from the Leviathan box today. Are you going to get it? Like, do you feel like you're going to convert it? Which things do you feel like are most in need of conversion from your perspective? And which things do you think you're just going to feel them as is? No problem. Because I really want to hear about that. So yeah, leave those comments in the comments below. And again, like I've said on other videos, further proof that we are facing one hot bug summer. It's going to be a great summer and into the autumn for Tyranids because they said we're waiting until the autumn for the Codex. So I'm really hoping that We get all this in the summer, and then they start to preview more Tyranid stuff. Let's have the Tyranids show up in the rumor engine. They haven't since the tentacle from the Parasite of Mortrex. That's the last Tyranid that showed up in the rumor engine. I hope they start dropping in weird little bug bits from the other future waves of Tyranids that are going to follow this one, because there's definitely going to be more. Necron's got a big bunch of new stuff in the Indominus box, and then they got a bunch of successive waves. So I am so happy with this. If this was all they gave me, I'd probably be happy, but I'm ecstatic that they're going to be future Tyranid waves that we can look for. So yeah, it's going to be a hot bug summer. I got this fancy hot bug summer sticker that I designed with an artist on Instagram. And if you want one of these stickers, all you have to do is go over to Patreon and become one of my patrons. There's no tiers on my Patreon. $1, $2, $5. Everyone gets a sticker. I'll mail it out to you. And you can feel free to cancel after a month if you want, or you can continue supporting my work on videos like this, my how to sculpt tutorials, and future videos that I'll be doing, reviewing all of these Tyranids. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for support. And I look forward to talking to you about Tyranids soon. Bye.